Just about the most fashionable layout this year is the island bed at the back of the van with a bathroom in the middle. And Coachman really got ahead of the trend with that, with this model, the Laser 650. It was launched in February last year as the Laser 650-4, and for 2016 it's been lightly revised to make it the Laser 650. The graphics are different, with a new blue theme, which I actually think really suits it, and it's a really great looking van. I particularly like those nice solid roof rails and the really good quality feel to the construction with those strong grab handles. It costs a little over £26,500 and it weighs in at a hefty 1,810 kilos, so you're going to need a pretty big tow car. But that said, you do get an awful lot for your money. Outside there are things like an external gas barbecue point, an external mains point, and of course a full complement of Alco goodies with ATC, AKS hitch stabiliser and secure wheel locks. There are also hydraulic jacks and, as we're about to find out, a really superb interior finish. Now, bearing in mind that this is a large, heavy twin-axle caravan, there's a good chance it's going to spend plenty of time on a seasonal pitch. And with that in mind, you expect a really domestic feel inside. And you certainly get it. This is a very grown-up feeling caravan. I particularly like these really quite muted fabrics, which have got a very pleasant oatmeal finish and thick bolsters at the corners that make them feel properly like sofas. There's a real solidity as well. Look at these thick shelves. They're much bulkier and more solid feeling than you get in a lot of Tourers. That said, bearing in mind its size, this isn't the largest caravan in the whole world, but chances are it's going to be used by a couple and it'll be plenty roomy enough for them and a couple of friends to sit around and have their dinner. At night, the sofas can be turned into a pretty decent sized double bed, but the thing that really strikes you when you're sitting here is the depth of thought that's gone into this caravan. Every space has been utilised for storage, even the little corners where often you'd find a speaker. And although the cupboards don't have positive catches, they do have heavy springing, which means they shouldn't pop open when you're on the road. There's an access flap to get into the bed box from the inside. And one of the really nice things, from where I'm sitting right now, I'm looking directly at the perfect place to sight a TV, with a TV mount, a shelf, and of course aerial points. And praise be, the table is stored in the lounge area, so you haven't got to lug it all the way from the back of the van when it's time for dinner. Now, you'd really be hard pushed to complain about this kitchen. On the near side, there's a whopping 140 litre tower fridge freezer, and the kitchen itself has masses of storage space. Underneath there's cupboards and drawers, a couple of lockers overhead, and one of them, rather neatly, contains the microwave. I wish it wasn't directly over the hob, but other than that, no complaints. Now, there's no worktop flap in this caravan, but you don't really need it. There's a good amount of workspace, and if you need more, the glass lid on the sink gives you a bit extra. Lift that up, and there's a proper drainer, which is a really nice thing to see instead of the usual flappy, removable affair. And of course, considering the fact that you're likely to be in this van for long periods of time, the fact that there's two sockets in the kitchen rather than one is great for those kettles and toasters. For many, a big part of the appeal of a Laser 650 is going to be this central washroom. It's a really appealing space. Roomier than you'll find on a single axle version, although not quite as spacious as that of the Lunar Delta RI. But of course that has a transverse rear bed rather than an inline one as here. Here on the near side we've got a large circular shower cubicle which has slight intrusion from the wheel arch but not very much, and a towel rail heated by the Aldi wet central heating. In the centre there's a good sized sink with a vanity unit and a backlit mirror. But of course, what if you're on the other side of the room and you want to use the bathroom at night? Well, you just use this additional door, and over here on the off side there's a toilet and a really large linen basket. Having come through your his and hers doorway, you arrive into a real master suite along with his and hers wardrobes. That's just one of the storage options in here. There are cupboards beneath, lockers above, and of course masses of space underneath the bed. But you want to be a little bit careful not to overload it, bearing in mind you're hung out right at the back of the caravan here, which could upset it on tow. The bed itself is a decent size, it's plenty wide enough, but if you're very tall, or at least well over 6 foot, you need to make sure that it's going to be long enough for you. It measures 6 foot 1 inches long, and of course there's a bulkhead at the foot of the bed, which means it can't have a bolster cushion to extend it. That bulkhead is the perfect place for your second TV, And of course, you'll find a mount here, along with an aerial socket and a power point. With this layout, there are a lot of really space-sapping features. That island bed and that central washroom ought to mean that there are an awful lot of compromises to be made. But one of the great things about being a big twin axle is that this Laser 650 never feels compromised. It feels really spacious, in fact, helped by having plenty of lighting. If you can stump up that price tag and the thought of towing an 1800 kilo caravan doesn't intimidate you, there's really an awful lot to like about it.